Interiors today are moving beyond trends and mass produced aesthetics, embracing spaces that are authentic, meaningful, and deeply connected to people and place. Craft, once seen as an embellishment, is increasingly becoming central to how we imagine and create contemporary interiors. In this episode of Friday Frames, Geetanjali Kasliwal and Ayaz Basrai share their perspectives on crafting interiors. They discuss how collaboration with artisans, bespoke craftsmanship, and locally rooted practices can shape spaces that are both contemporary and enduring. They reflect on the value of handmade work, the economic and cultural significance of supporting local crafts, and why designing with authenticity can create interiors that resonate far beyond aesthetics.
I just hope to sort of, through this work, kind of hope to inspire a lot more collaboration, the word we've heard, and the word which works, obviously, as you saw in all the works right now. How does this collaboration, and which is a story of me and Ayush, if he's not kind of given it away, it was really uncomfortable to me to accept his triple ID's invitation to be across him as a moderator. And this is a first, but I'll try to not get nervous. So, what is it that, why is this such a low hanging fruit? It's such a no brainer. How we all interior designers can easily work with crafts? That's what I hope to sort of bring forth to you. When you look around you, obviously you have crafts everywhere. This is a unique advantage to the nation that we can build on. It's extremely easy to work with craft, contrary to what you all might have in mind. Um, all of our, more and more people, and post-COVID, hopefully, are waking up to the reality around the globe that craft-led lifestyle does make more sense in the current climate crisis scenario as a sustainable alternative to the fast consumerist lifestyle that we all are used to leading. So why is now the time more than ever to work with crafts? It is a winning formula for each value chain in the collaboration. So the currency of working in craft is not just money, but it is also opportunity, respect, learning from ancient repositories. There is a lot of sense of fulfillment of the client being a patron who's the new king of today. There's a joy of giving. There's a joy of taking. There's lighting up lives, which contributes to abundance in both ends. The topic was craft interiors. So, what has been the secret that has made us as EKFD and Anantaya work throughout these 2 decades that we've been doing craft? Uh, I would easily say that having a 360-degree view of our clients' needs, whether it is our architects, whether it is our clientele, direct clientele or export clientele, 360-degree view has really played a major part. Storytelling has been a very, very integral, inherent part of design. Anything designed with craft is humane. It is emotionally durable and fulfilling. It ages well. It is bespoke. In that sense, it is a symbol of luxury. And for an interior designer, it's like a dream come true because it has the capacity to provide unique solutions for unique challenges. It's like every time you're discovering something new. Ananta and AKFT have represented a culture of excellence, whether it's design, craftsmanship, or commitment. We've grown because of being an integrated organization with different verticals which have been built upon each other. Really a story of collaboration, ground up. Scaling up the craft has been possible because of that, and it has been a journey of true collaboration. And so, what are the ways we have collaborated with our artisans at one end and our patrons across the globe in the other end? We've collaborated through exports, where Indian design has been celebrated internationally with clients like the Conrad, earliest clients like the Conrad Shop, Tom Dixon, Anthropology, William Sonoma, Crate and Barrel, celebrating handmade, not just as production, not just as factory made, but celebrating design. with our names on their portals, which was quite a pride. So you see, it's possible that design gets recognized and handmade craft gets recognized across the globe because we have a repository of, like it's a treasure trove. So all you need to do is dig in deep dive and just pick up your area and kind of move on with it, I guess. The collaborations have been with through projects with architects and interior designers. This is one of our very first sort of projects. It's a mosque in Boston, and we did it in 2006. It is, I remember, one often looks at craft as something in which imperfections are inherent, and time and money are aspects to prove it to be a real constraint. But this mosque was made all from bits and pieces, all assembled to the tune, perfectly to tune in the US. And there were challenges at that time with not even hardware available that we could be crafting in-house in Jaipur at that time. The door you see here was actually a 13-foot or a 16-foot door, almost 12 glass, and you see it has a arch there. So the challenge was that there weren't any hinges available that time, 2006, no Blum, no Hetic we could find in Jaipur. We actually ended up making those handles, hinges, and commissioning the finest. This was a Bohra mask, and they would ask for nothing less than the perfect. So everything had to fit in perfectly. You see these jalis at the left-hand corner. They were this is all done by hand, by the way. It's not a laser cut process, which is incredible to say what kind of artistry is there, what kind of master artisans we have at our, with us in India. It was all done in a span of 6 months, where the accuracy, it was just fit to site with accuracy. And the architect was Shakil Hussain, who coordinated from on site. This was a Titan, 2 lakh square foot Titan company headquarter, which was a break into our first corporate affair. And we were delighted to work with the architects M. Moser and Titan. As a brand value, it kind of it had a synchrony to who we were as, authentic design people who value good original product line, which is handmade. And we were very, very honored to do the entire decorative furniture for the space and learn from it. Now, this is a restaurant which we completed last year in the summer, which is called the Punjab Grill. It is one of the finest Indian dining restaurants as of today in the US. And it is bang opposite the Trump Tower. So it's always full with even when we went on the, right when it opened, this is always booked. So you can see tikri work on the panel at the back. And you can see, I'm not showing many images here, but the incredulous application of all different kind of crafts in this restaurant, right from here in Jaipur, and shipped over there, fit to site, measured to site in most accurate manner, just proves that this is completely possible. If we can do it to USA, then we can put it in any part of the globe. So we had sandstone carved panels. We had the most amazing furniture. We had countertops, and so everything was customized and sent out to site. Now, this is a project which is a different kind of project. It is the Charpai project. So these are simple collaborations between very different kind of partners, one being Triple ID, that can bring surprising results. And this is definitely one of them, which has taken on its own life. It's like a never-ending project almost now. So Charpai project, one hand draws on the time-taking laborious process of weaving with rope, and on the other, the temporary and fast process of scaffolding. The design has many layers and draws upon the fact that Indians are not known for social distancing. So this is a different level. And the modular panels were woven in Bikaner and assembled wherever the installation moved. It gets born in new avatars. And the most recent one was an India design at Priya Paul's It became a restaurant where people actually climbed up, and it saved so much space, and it was an interesting installation and a usable one also. It was their restaurant. So this is part of the workshop. So it also gave a lot of access to our artisans and people, young students who could make a hands-on go at weaving and bring it closer to their designs in future. This is a project, now that is another kind of collaboration through consultancy. So yes, we were the consultants to this very interesting property, which was home to the last Maharaja of Bikaner. It was originally an 8-room hotel, but 8-room home, sorry, of the Maharaja, Narendra Singh Ji, which was to be turned into a 80-room property, or this was envisaged as the home of the Maharaja, where he was welcoming the today's, his guests, which are all of us. So you can see how much work with traditional craft and inside the furniture, the panels. In every room had a different story, and they were all mostly handcrafted. This is another way. This is the most recent one. It's for Ikai Asai, a very engaging Indian brand, which is by the Birla Group. And I think they aim to kind of pick up on craft. They're doing a tremendous job. And the whole range of product, about 80 of them were developed just for Ikai Asai. And you can go on and check it using different materials. It gives a different impetus to all kind of material libraries, different kind of craft. So the other way is through retail. So Anantaya has been around since 2006 after the birth of my daughters, and where I, as an architect, I did not want to get bound by project timings and project sites. This is a whole plethora of like about 4,000 different library by now, original authentic designs which have won different awards. And they're all very authentic. Nothing is sort of digitally printed. Everything is hand painted, if at all. The materials, the processes. It's a narrative that every object picks on a beautiful narrative, and it all starts with somebody coming in, and the artisan cluster coming in, or some artisan coming in saying, what can we do with this? We need some work. What can we do with this? And to see that they are so skilled, so they are master artisans, and that kind of prompts us to build from the opposite side. Usually it's said that it's the market research which gets you into the product. For us, it has been the complete diametrically opposite. It's a big surprise, but it is. And that's one of the secrets I'm telling you, that only because of our artisans, we have developed such a wide number of array of different craft, different product, different materials which come together. This is it has a beautiful story. I won't go into the length and breadth of it, but currently this is called the Kalam table, and it is quite widely known. And it started in 2007 when we got these beautiful, on the top you see these Mars attack tables, which were actually from Chettinad. And these were the Burmese, the bowls. They were like lacquer bowls, lacquer trays, which we found. And we completely fell in love with, got the whole 20 pieces to our little store in the basement in 2006. But to our surprise, nobody liked them. They didn't kind of took off. So Ayush put these legs underneath, and there it became a journey of its own. It just flew in no time. And after that, there were so many iterations. We had the truck artist painting on it. We had the miniature artist painting on it, showing different themes. We had themes of the tantra, the textiles. It's a series which keeps on continuing, and it's much loved, ever loved. And it also went under lamps 3-4 years ago, like the beautiful Varsha Ritu lamps. And so the miniature artists also came into the array because of these. That's a product I picked up because it's from Kashmir, the paper mache, and we had a lot of fun with it. And this is one of my favorite products, and it's almost like a pun where it brings, it's like a gun box, but it can probably fit the size of a gun, but it's actually a contemporary box. and it is a take on the strife in the valley, which is the valley of, it's almost like Guns N' Roses, the valley of strife, and to say that keep it down and it's the make it happen with love and valley of flowers. So it's very close to my heart. This is another beautiful craft that we have been playing with, and it's been quite a success over the years. When Azimuddin ji, जो ताजिया कारीगर हैं जयपुर में, he had almost nine daughters and two sons, and he needed support for his family, and he came and said, what can we do something with it? And there was the Jaipur Virasat Festival, which was about on the corner, and we designed these huge spheres, like almost 4 foot kind of circular spheres with the Tazia craft, and they were all around Jaipur in the entrances of the festivals, and that began the story of the Tazia craft. And we have a lot of product line. And this particular one was commissioned by Craft Council of India for their 50th year, and there's a whole lot of Tazia craft in the store. This is AKFD Retail, which is a recent edition. It's like because of all the honest materiality and the artisanal capacity with the art, like a lot of things are casted here, lots of things are woven here. So the same, the strip stools which you can see on the right side, these are by the Sudana artisans. So our furniture also speaks the language of craft in more ways than you can imagine. It may appear industrial, but it is quite artisanal. So this is how, what is it that underlines, defines craft, and it is also apparent in all of our works. Whoever works with craft is, I think, timelessness. There's a certain appeal which is, you cannot ever get bored of it. And the kalash table with the teteras, it's been one of the first products, 2005, that we picked up, the Laudia, the Tateras. And it's ever like evolving. We work with the community and on different projects, different scapes. And, it's beyond time, I think. Then there is this honest materiality. Anything to do with craft can be easily, like, you can relate to it with the natural materials. This is a palm leaf. And to your surprise, this is also developed in Jaipur, a cluster called the Geechgarh. In the Geechgarh, we had a beautiful NGO. We discovered it after struggling for 2 years with this product in West India, in East India, sorry. We could develop the women folk of Geechgarh to make transfer the basketry craft to these beautiful objects about. And they are now in about 60 stores in the US. They can be found, and they're ever growing library again. I want to highlight that we, contrary to what we would think, the capacity of how industrial marries with craft is very interesting. We have to look at collaborations in which this is particularly a state-of-the-art constructed green manufacturing facility with water harvesting, net neutral water, which was completed last December. It was born out of the desire to provide a really, really good space for our in-house khati to be there as a family. So between the pillars, every unit that you see is actually a little house, which is named as, it has like a school has houses. All the artisans have their own houses and their own kits, where one is a master artisan, two are apprentices, one is a helper, and they all have different strengths, and they work as a family. So it's not like an assembly line production at all, which is why, and I wanted again to bring it to your notice that this is a very unique sort of system which allows the artisanal capacity to come out and to be used in a very appropriate way.
Sorry, Geetanjali, I'm so sorry about to interrupt you. We're running out of time.
I would imagine.
I'm really, really sorry.
Okay, I'll get you to the last few slides, which is very important. How could you collaborate effectively? So first of all, the relationships are very delicate. So you need to build the trust. You need to, uh, you are just another peg in the chain. So be gentle, develop a relationship of trust, communicate from the heart, and empathize, and build a bridge in the first place that forms a good foundation. And consider very smart ways of working. For example, reduce the site work to the minimum, and in a way in which the artisans can work from their own homes and make smaller panels which can be shipped on site, and it's easy for them to kind of within their scale, I would say. uh, Consider modularity, consider logistics and packing design, to be inbuilt into the design itself. Also, make sure you have checks and balances in place. Make sure your commercial agreement works for the artisans also. You might consider paying larger advances for situations where raw material is very, very expensive or production process takes a long time. You, of course, have to put in checks and balances in the periodic inspections or images that need to be sent by the artisan from time to time. Now they're all very savvy. Everybody can send videos. So that make sure that kind of ensure in time, and you are, once quality is. So factor additional time for production also, and yet have the consequence in place. Yes, do kind of nudge them, just to nudge them to kind of be on time. Do kind of, although we never actually have in 2 decades have never placed any penalty in reality, but we put the penalty clause in the agreement, which probably now may not be so effective. But now they are used to our time, so everybody uh, does it on time. And also expect nothing but the finest. No compromise. But partner in the journey. Collect and harness a creative collective genius through different ways of co-creation, teamwork, delegation, and each one leading in their areas. This is an example of a Tara Dhokra installation. This is created from the Dhokra craft. It is incredible. If I'm sure all of you know the Dhokra craft, somebody on the chat also mentioned. Now these are casted, and they are so fine. They are not laser cut or something. And we simply design a couple of modules which can take any life, any shape, and they are a delight for any interior designer. Uh, so and they're literally like galaxies. This also won the UNESCO Seal of Excellence for its excellence in the crafting and the design, and it won the Lexus Design Award also. So after many iterations, many going back and forth, this is one application of the. So it can turn a corner, it can go on the ceiling. Last but the least. Um, Things are different today than when we really started out 2 decades back without any role model, charting out on a completely unknown territory. So I would really urge you to kind of make use of all that has been done till now, all that you saw right now. There is so much available now. Take advantage of different business ecosystems, support networks that are given to you on a platter. A lot many hands are required to strengthen this ecosystem. It's a very critical, very delicate system. And the more the merrier. And like I said, collaboration is the key. We have divided the world into identify your core strength, know what you're very, very good at, and plug that in instead of recreating the whole wheel. I think it's everything is on a platter now. Just plug in and create the, into the existing pipeline and create value to the existing models. And opportunities can be realized better when we have resources and networks to take them on. And that's what I would end my presentation with. Thank you so much, Ayush.
So I'll just take you through really, really quick. I mean, what our journey has been. I think we started off in the kind of domain. So I think both me and my brother Zamir, who were on the studio with, are very, fond of this idea of making. So I think we've tried consistently through projects, both in the commercial realm and, in our design office to kind of keep making things. So I think, but we primarily worked with urban makers. So there was a lot of work with, stained glass artisans in Bombay. We've, in this project, we tried to fuse magnifying glasses into the facade of a building just to pop the sunset at Carter Road, which is a lovely experience. and it's a bar that's lit by, by only candles. So it's a sort of sunset cocktail bar. We also love to engage fairly closely with work. So this is, projects that we ourselves have drawn, standing on a ladder for 35 days, drawing smokehouse delis across India. So, we try to think of ourselves as craftsmen most of the time to kind of, build a very visceral connection with work. And I think anyone who's done projects in India, we actually always engage with making in a fairly, almost unconscious way. So, in our heads, we have many forms to manifest, but they're put together in a, very crazy mix, which is, I think, completely Indian in nature. So you'll have these forms that are, internationally, they would be kind of CNC milled in some kind of factory, but here we'll have, a few really incredible guys who can, take a rasp and a file and then sort of, almost caress these forms into manifestation. And we have tried to kind of, fool around a lot with, work. So these are sort of obviously custom fabricated pieces, which, open and shut in interesting ways. So this is a project called the Folly House, which really explored this idea of intelligent objects as against living in rooms, and as an idea for a home. But what I'd like to actually really quickly share right now is the work that, it's a bit fringe in terms of, what we're also trying to do, and we're as confused as anyone else in practice. So what I'm really going to share with you really quick is a whole bunch of different confusions. So this journey for us started with these, witnessing these incredible monuments, right? Like, so this is on the outskirts of Jaipur. This is the Chand Bauri. It's almost a 13-story structure that goes straight into the earth, and it taps into the aquifer in the most magical possible way. And this is really a testimony to, like a lot of work that I think Lotus does. I think it's a testimony to what happens when a problem solving, like a very typical topical problem, meets a beautiful solution, right? So this is a solution that is formulated within the world of craft, and how it manifests with a simple idea of drawing water from the earth. Like, this is the kind of problems that we have as a culture been solving. And if you look at how we're solving the problems of harvesting energy today, right? So this is what we actually end up doing. This is, I think, 2,500 acres in South India. This is the Adani solar farm. And it's essentially a land grab, which is, it could have been sugarcane, it could have been any other monoculture. This is the monoculture of solar panels. So I think how we harvest technology today is completely devoid of beauty, of craft, of life-affirming kind of qualities. And these are the specs of that solar park. So it's not lacking for investment. I think what we've, and this is the way, say, for example, it's a green energy project, but this is the way the project is actually cleaned every day. It's cleaned by illegal water from a neighboring village, which has reduced the water table in all those villages, and it's cleaned by pipe manually, because the yield of these panels drops by 25% every time there's a dust storm. So it's green energy, but harvested in the most ungreen way possible, right? And what we started wondering, what does the world of craft have to offer contemporary problem solving? What can we do with this whole paradigm? And what's a better way than to build a sun temple, right, with solar panels? And if you look at the etymology of the word konark, kona means corner and arc is sun. So when you actually, it's almost an invitation, of these master builders from the past, saying that, build a temple using solar panels. So we then started working with illustrators to kind of start visualizing these future sun temples, right? So if we had to construct a beautiful manifestation of, Rajasthani postmodern architecture, which looks at this kind of interesting hybrid of solar panels meeting with stone carving, which could be this kind of, Burning Man kind of a center of culture in the middle of the village, which has then affiliated solar communities around it. So the idea is to kind of start with simple provocations and then result in kind of, speculative output. We also started questioning the ethics of running crafts practices, right? Because I feel, in this group, I mean, we are already a bunch of converts. Like, we all have a very deep respect for labor and a very deep respect for people who are able to make. But I feel a lot of designer collaborations tend to become fairly slave labor oriented. I mean, we look at human labor in the same way as it's a fairly dispassionate process. So we try to actually look at an investigation into the ethics and values of craft, right? And so, I mean, to engage with it in a slightly non-confrontational way, we thought it'll be nice to create a board game. So it's almost like a self-diagnostic tool, right? So if you play this board game, at the end of the board game, depending on the number of slaps you get, you realize whether you're running a collaborative crafts practice or you're running a kind of tyrannical, pyramidical kind of a practice. So there are values cards, and I mean, it'll be nice to, share this in detail with you guys at some point. But so this is the slap card. It's a really fun one. It's if you share credits with your crafts collaborators, you get to move 5 places ahead. If not, the person on the left slaps you really hard. So that's like a self-diagnostic. Then we started, interacting with more traditional illustration. Like, so both me and my brother, we both draw a lot. So I think this is just a study of, what a futuristic temple in Madurai could look like. So this is actually part of concept art for a video game called Antarik Sanchar. And we're trying to build interesting bridges between, emerging, sort of spatial experiences like video games and traditional craft forms. So we partnered with this studio called Quicksand Games Lab, and what they've done is they've done some incredible documentation of these age-old, temple carvings in Madurai. So we actually then worked with them in this new technology called photogrammetry, and we've taken these sort of documented carved pieces and then played around with them in algorithms. So what's really interesting is that in the virtual space you don't have gravity, right? So you can actually have gravity-free craft, and then you can actually translate these models back to create an interesting patronage bridge. Because I almost had goosebumps when Jaya ma'am was talking about this incredible wealth of craft that we sit on, and I feel maybe it's our job as design practitioners to keep building new bridges to kind of keep the craft process really kind of churning and always evolving. So we're trying to build bridges with emerging paradigms in video games, in digital culture, and trying to see how these kind of interesting things mix. This is a project, Ayush, this may look familiar to you actually. I think these are shot on your phone only, no?
Yep.
So this is something we're starting, a very interesting project with Ayush's studio, Ayush and Geetanjali studio, which looks at this obviously magical Tazia creation. And what we did was we worked off their documentation to kind of create interesting modules. So we document the geometry and the proportion, and then we kind of move it sequentially into virtual space to create wholly new artifacts. So I think when we migrate and create these bridges with a digital domain, what we're actually trying to do is to create a very, very vibrant, very collaborative environment. So now these meshes could actually be plugged into a musician and so create a whole new revenue model for a craft that is that explores the performative side of that craft, and not necessarily the artifact manifestation. So we can actually layer on these kind of, internested layers onto these kind of craft scaffoldings. And this is some ongoing experiments with Gond art. So this is something we're doing with another collaborator, Vishpala. So what we've tried to do is to actually create, 3D point clouds from Gond art. So we pick out, it's actually a pointillist art form. So what we do is we use photogrammetry to pick out point clouds into 3-dimensional space. And what this gives us is 3-dimensional coordinates of the tree of life. And this can now be translated into immersive environments. It could be translated into, sculptural pavilions. It could be translated into kind of, optical art. It could have a whole bunch of different, manifestations, and, to create a interactive layer on top of traditional art, which could be just used to create a slightly higher price point maybe. Then we also study the way things grow in nature. So these are kind of experiments about how, bracket mushrooms grow on trees. And we try to create algorithms and, 3D printed forms that simulate those things. So this is sort of just a small simulation of organic growth and about how things kind of, so by just setting different parameters, we can play around a lot with these kind of things. And then we try to get build a bridge between traditional basket weaving and the algorithm. So I think once that bridge is created and the sort of emerging tech is able to be deployed at the lowest common level, I strongly believe that crafts communities should be first adopters of technology, right? Because I think what happens is otherwise technology gets concentrated at the very top of the pyramid, and you pay a premium for things that you should actually have very, very easy access to. So, I mean, in my head, I can visualize a future where, every pottery studio has a 3D printer as part of their work share, as part of their workbench. And it's a very, very tech forward, practice. And, I don't think there's any reason why a craftsman shouldn't drive up to his workshop in a BMW and then, then start his day. So we're looking at this sort of paradigm of crafts solving future problems, right? And if that bridge has to actually be created, then crafts will be relevant to the Indian aerospace industry. Crafts will be relevant. I mean, they looked at as an exalted form of human expression and not something that is, so anyway, so this is another really random one. This is called Mughlai. So we were looking at, artifacts from the Mughal era and trying to train a machine interface to understand what Mughal miniature paintings look like. So it's just garbage right now, but on the left, you can see the input, and on the right, you can see the machine output. So hopefully if we train the AI, machine learning loop long enough with Mughal miniatures, maybe there's some interesting output that could come out from the machine, to build new miniatures. Then we're also kind of visualizing a future where, say, a very, very detailed AI interface could actually help create new documentation and Islamic tessellation patterns. So, you have a sort of a collaborative between a drone and a human, creating a much faster workflow to work on traditional inlay patterns, for example. This is some more experiments with inlay and, and tech. So this is all part of the Mughlai, which is Mughal plus AI kind of exploration. And these are Bidri drones. So this is something we're trying to figure out if, traditional metalworking could actually create objects of really high value and contemporary use. So yeah, that's just a little bit of the work that we've been doing.